Hi, I'm Matt, here in Michigan.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. Today, Matt and I are taking a look at what I believe to be a Christmas movie, 1985's Rocky IV. Stars Sylvester Stallone, Dolph Lundgren, Carl Weathers, Talia Shire, and Burt Young. It is directed and written by Sylvester Stallone, who also wrote all of the Rocky movies, including the follow-up Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, in Rocky 4, there's a new boxer named Drago from the Soviet Union. He kills Rocky's best friend, Apollo Creed, during an exhibition match. Rocky decides to fight Drago in the Soviet Union on Christmas Day to avenge Creed's death. This movie saw mixed reviews from critics upon its release, but it was a hit with audiences and a big financial success. Rocky 4 had a $28 million budget and earned more than $300 million at the box office. Now, to adjust that for inflation, that's about a $67 million budget and an estimated $726 million earnings. That is Marvel money we're talking about.
Marvel money, Tony Stark.
It is the most financially successful Rocky movie and was the most successful sports movie for more than 2 decades. A fifth Rocky movie was made in 1990, and the events of Rocky IV serve as the backstory to the plot of Creed 2. Alright, Randall, I have to admit, Rocky IV isn't my favorite in the series. I want to know, what do you think about Rocky IV?
I think the critics got Rocky IV so wrong. Honestly, I'll agree with you. It's not like my favorite, but it is my guilty pleasure go-to Rocky film. It's very easy to watch. It's super digestible. Where I say the critics got it wrong is because they found it derivative of all of the other Rocky films, and I say to myself, well, no. Rocky from Rocky 1 couldn't do what Rocky from Rocky 4 did. He needed everything he learned up to this point in order to do what he does in this film. So it is a fun thing. The only real detractor is the stupid robot.
Yeah, this one has a lot of out there ideas, and the robot is definitely an out there idea. But I think there's enough heartfelt moments and really impactful moments, memorable moments in this movie that definitely make it a movie worth going back to watch again and again. But yes, to go more on the robot with Polly, yeah, I don't know really what they're going for. If it's kind of like to show Rocky's wealth a little bit, maybe to add a little bit to Polly's character a little bit, but
The Ferrari's not enough to show off his wealth.
yeah, the big house and everything.
The
Rocky's
mansion,
just throwing money at this robot.
which couldn't even possibly have existed in 1985. Yeah, the robot's stupid. If you can get over that, that's like the campy, stupidest part of the film. You get into some serious stuff. So, like you had mentioned in the synopsis, Apollo Creed, who is now Rocky's very close friend and trainer and mentor, goes to fight this exhibition match against Ivan Drago, this train basically from the Soviet Union. I think it's something you don't see in any of the other Rocky films. It may be a touch of like Rocky 3 when Mickey dies, but you see a major character in Apollo Creed get killed off, and it's devastatingly mental, to Rocky. He feels like it's his fault because that exhibition match was supposed to be his, and he gave it to Apollo. There's guilt there. There's reason for the character to be upset at himself and then go on to the main fight on Christmas Day in the Soviet Union.
I think they could have even pushed it a little bit farther, though I'm worried that if they did push that a little bit farther, it might have dragged the movie down. Another part that they kind of hinted at but didn't really get into, Rocky could have thrown that towel in. Everyone else was asking for him to throw in the towel, but Creed told him, was looking at him, telling him, don't you dare throw in that towel. Don't you ever throw in that towel. And they could have added more guilt onto Rocky for that, but they did not decide to do that.
No matter which way you cut it, Rocky feels completely, like it's his fault that Apollo died, and in some retrospect it is. But, it's kind of a weird thing and all of this is explored further in the Creed movies, where this movie kind of ends on a happy, good, uplifting note. Of course, Rocky wins, but like you don't really go into the relationship with Creed's wife after that, and you don't really get into that. No, it just ends happy. Like, hey, if we can get in here together, then our two countries can work together. You get that triumphant ending to the movie, and I'm like, well, there's a lot still left to be explored that they chose not to in this one.
If I had a second main criticism, my first would probably be the robot. The second one is actually the ending for me and the speech from Rocky.
If I can change,
Я думаю, что каждый тоже изменился
and
сегодня.
you can change,
Вы можете измениться.
everybody can change.
I understand, feel good story. I mean, at the 85 and stuff, the Soviet Union, that's probably what a lot of people were looking for, is kind of like a hope of change between the US and the Soviet Union. But for me, I kind of had to just laugh at that at Rocky's speech there a little bit there at the end.
I have absolutely always disliked the use of performance enhancers by Ivan Drago. Like, it's not enough that he's just a beast of a human. He's huge and he's fast and he's strong and powerful. They have to be like, oh no, they're the Soviet Union and they're cheaters. I've never liked that. I always felt that was a disservice to both Rocky's character because, now you're kind of elevating him to almost like boxing godhood, and a disservice to Ivan because it's just not good enough. You need steroids or whatever, some performance enhancer. I've never liked that scene. If there were ever a director cut, I wish they would just cut it out. So like cut that out.
I think in a lot of this movie, they're trying to look at like a parallel or contrast between like man and machine kind of thing, where the Soviet Union kind of treats Drago more like a machine than an actually man, and Rocky kind of embodies that, the idea that willpower can overcome all kind of thing. Like if you truly have heart and willpower, you can do anything. I do like that Drago kind of gets that moment at the end of film where he basically shouts out and says, I'm not fighting for the Soviet Union. I'm fighting for myself. That's what I fight for. I wish they would have expanded that a little bit more, made Drago more of a human character as opposed to this symbolic machine almost, which I think is kind of what you're pointing at a little bit with the steroids. I agree. I think they could have taken that out a bit.
That, and like you had mentioned, you say at the end it's this kind of uplifting story of hope between these two nations, but like right in the middle of the film, just like, oh yeah, he's shooting up drugs. Those are very parallel, or very not parallel. Those are very different directions to try and like, hey, we want to end on hope, but hey, they're obviously cheaters.
I think this movie has a lot to try to show a little bit of a difference, or at least America's view difference between the U.S. and Soviet Union. A lot of that too, you probably catch on too. A lot of it is like American consumerism and stuff. Just how when Apollo came out and stuff, and it's all this flashy showmanship and everything. And James Brown, excellent having James Brown in there. But you just have Drago like looking around like what in the world is going on, kind of showing that contrast. And I think that's a little bit of how like the robot and like you already mentioned, Rocky's nice, Ferrari or whatever too, kind of really showing that difference. And they kind of hit on that later when Rocky goes to train and he wants to be away from all that, distractions as he calls them.
My big takeaway from this is this movie has definitely become almost a parody in and of itself. You have not one, not two, but three montages in it. I just think that they're in on the joke at that point, at the movie producers, and that the critics kind of missed the boat with this one. Yes, Rocky's a boxer. There's going to be a fight. It's a very well choreographed fight, and he's going to win. Yeah, that's a given. It's a Rocky movie, But they didn't hit on a lot of the good things that happen in the film that make it such a guilty pleasure, easy to watch Rocky movie.
I really think what makes this a good film is what we mentioned, those little moments, those moments that we have between Rocky and Adrian, the big moment we have at the beginning with Rocky and Apollo to really give some soul to this film. And I agree with you. I think it's why it's one of those, even though it's not the best Rocky film, or maybe even the best like put together movie with a lot of things, there's enough elements there that make it an enduring film.
100%. I agree. Hey, if you guys like this kind of thing, we got lots of flashback movie reviews. Make sure to check out our playlist on that. If you like this video, give it a like. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon so that way you always see videos whenever we release them. We also have a Facebook page. On the Facebook page, we will post the day before what we're posting on YouTube the next day. For now, I'm Randall here in Texas. See everyone later.
I'm Matt here in Michigan. Have a good day. Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.